My name is Ron Hereford. I'm a father of a young man. At the time, he was 18 years old. He was wrongly convicted because I owned maybe 13 acres of commercial property. Because I wouldn't sell, they went after my son. They went after me. They went after my family. But they were successful in framing my son. They used crooked police. They used my attorney. I hired two attorneys, one to watch the other one, and both sold me out. We had concrete evidence, for example, gunpowder residue tests. Never was introduced into evidence. For my son, they said he fired a gun, but the gunpowder residue test was negative for any residue. They took a video of the alleged robber. They used a blurred effect and a whiteout effect. The police did it. They covered up the real robber's face and used their dirty snitchers now to testify against my kid. The Southfield police took video. They inserted, my son quit at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They took my son's picture of him walking in the door, inserted at 11:45 where the robbery happened, and said that my son was a part of the robbery. They were using all sorts of dirty tactics to frame my kid. At the time of the robbery, my son was home with me. 2 minutes after the robbery, they was at my house to arrest my kid. They had not reached the scene of the crime. So they just, from any part of this conviction of my son, I can prove corruption. They just didn't go after my son. They go after a lot of young kids because they can. But the reason they went after my son is someone is paying somebody off to try to break me.
Ronnie, that's got to be devastating. It's got to be. How old is your son?
At the time, he was 18. They gave him 9 to 20. He'd served a solid 9 years.
He's already been behind bars 9 years?
Yes, and he's out now.
Is he, how's he doing?
I raised him strong. And he said, Daddy, I'm going to put this behind me and go on with my life. I understand what he wants, but the way they did this is corruption to its highest. And they didn't just do it to my family, they do it to a lot of people. The gunpowder residue test, for example, it was never introduced into evidence. The moment I hired my attorneys, I gave him gunpowder residue tests. I gave him these pictures here.
Oh, go ahead.
I gave him these pictures where there's a whiteout and blurred effect. We had no control over the video of the robbery. It was did by the police. Southfield police did this. So, my attorney never used this into evidence. The gunpowder residue test, perjury on everybody that testified against my kid.
And let's get back to the land. Explain more about how this whole thing started and why you think that they targeted you and your family, and what effect it had afterwards. Obviously, there's an effect on your family because of a wrongful prosecution, and your son, I don't think will ever be able to put this behind him because now he's got a conviction, a wrongful conviction. And so take us back to what happened to lead up to this with regard to your property. What was you said you had some property in Southfield.
No, I have property in Detroit.
Oh, in Detroit. You can put that down.
Yeah, which is, I have, on my deed gives me it gives me 13 acres of commercial property. Because I won't sell it, they started doing dirty things, trying to run me out of business. They tried to frame me with no success. They tried to falsely put in the court system to prevent me from renewing my license with no success. And then they went after my kid. And through the dirty judge, my attorney.
Names, please, if you feel comfortable.
William Mitchell, Rudy Nichols, Lynch was the prosecutor.
For Kim Worthy?
No, this was in Southfield,
okay.
Where the case happened, where they tried the case. My property is zone M3, is valuable in Oakland and Grand River area. And there's next door to it, on my deed, there's a social service building. If I had a good attorney to fight for me, I can prove I own the social service building. But every time I pay an attorney, he's scared off or run off.
So, can you give some concrete examples? And I know you've got the evidence here. Have you got other evidence, documents to prove corruption and with regard to the attempts to take your property in Detroit?
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit on it?
On the ones we scanned.
On the ones that we've already scanned.
Okay. I didn't give you any documents pertaining to the property, but I have a document where they borrowed $3,100,000, defaulted on half of that with my tax ID number. And now there's a sheriff deed floating around trying to take my property.
So they're generating fraudulent documents?
Yes.
And they're using those fraudulent documents to try to take your property?
Yes.
Are these all attorneys or judges involved?
I guess some of them are attorneys. Some of them are corporations. One of the corporations, MedLife, GE Finance, Grand Oakland Association. These big boys. But they messed up when they put their stamp on a fraudulent document.
And what makes them fraudulent? How do you know, how can you prove them fraudulent?
First of all, at no point that my tax ID number should have been on the mortgage. I mean, I had nothing to do with the properties. The person that, the sheriff department, you pull his name up, and it's on the internet. It says that he don't have jurisdiction to draw up such documents.
Got it. And you've done that research? Have you printed those?
Yes, I have a copy of the document in my briefcase.
Now, explain to us some of the documents that you have provided to us.
I provided to you a gunpowder residue test. Right after the robbery, they did a test, and it showed no gunpowder. He got 5 extra years for firing a gun, but the test showed that he didn't fire a gun. They say they found a bullet in the wall, and they did a test, and the test said the bullet has no evidentiary evidence. The gunpowder, if you fire a gun, then you would have gunpowder residue right in this area here, and he had none.
Did it go to trial with the jury?
No, my attorney talked him into a bench trial.
How could that be? A bench trial is with a judge.
Yes.
One person, it's not the people.
Yes. I was stone against it, but my son said, Dad, I'm going to go with the advice of my 18 years old. He didn't know nothing, no way. But I couldn't change his mind. He said, I'm going to go with the advice of my attorney. And attorney, William Mitchell, sold him down the river.
What do you think needs to be done?
First of all, there's corruption. The police did tamper with the video. That's obstruction of justice.
It's also falsifying evidence and all kinds of stuff. That's felony offenses.
My attorney knew that they did it and didn't take it to the next level. They took a video when my son came in at 5 o'clock at work. They took the video out from the 5 o'clock and put it into the time of the robbery. They was deliberately trying to frame my kid. And they lied like in 2 minutes after the robbery. They was at my house to arrest my kid. They did not reach the scene of the crime in 2 minutes. From their court police testimony, they hadn't reached the scene of the crime.
Who's the prosecutor at the time, not just at the lower level, but who was the Oakland County prosecutor at that time?
Gorsica.
Are any of these people still in politics?
I don't know. I know Gorsica, he's private practice now. Lynch, I don't know. William Mitchell is still practicing law.
So besides the corruption that you, in a general sense, what would you like to see done? What do you think might be done with this movie, or with the courts, or with grand juries, or anything like that to help resolve this miscarriage of justice?
Well, these characters, they didn't just start with my son. They framed a lot of people. So I would like for the court system to review some of these cases that they frame, not just my son, but hundreds and hundreds of other young kids. Some of them are guilty, need to be thrown the book at, but a lot of them are not. And this court system is supposed to be looking for justice. When they do this, they take and make a mockery out of the justice.
If you were to see any of these people right here,
Mm-hmm.
the people that did this to you, your son,
Mm-hmm.
what would you have to say to them
Mm-hmm.
right here? These are the
Well-
people looking at you right now.
Well, I would like. I don't think I would have too much to say, but I would like for justice to do its job as a court system, as a justice system. If there's corruption, it needs to be weeded out.